Most people think the biggest danger in life is failure. But according to Jesus, it's possible to succeed at the wrong things, to spend your entire life building something, only to realize too late it never had the power to satisfy you. That's why Matthew 6:19 says this, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." Notice something important. Jesus didn't say having money is evil. He didn't say success is evil. He didn't say ambition is evil. The warning is deeper than that. The warning is about investment. What are you pouring your life into? Because whatever you invest in eventually owns your attention, your emotions, your peace, and your identity. And most people are investing in things that cannot love them back. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may realize the thing draining your soul is the very thing the world told you would fulfill it. Number 1, investing in appearances instead of character. This is one of the most common traps in modern life. People spend years building an image, but almost no time building themselves, looking successful, looking attractive, looking important, looking spiritual. But here's what most people miss. An image can attract attention, only character can sustain peace. The world rewards appearance fast, God develops character slowly, and that's why so many people look confident online, but feel empty in private. Proverbs 31:30 says, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting." Fleeting, meaning temporary, fragile, unstable. The problem is not beauty. The problem is building your identity on something temporary. Because what happens when age changes your appearance? When people stop clapping? When attention fades? If your value was built on applause, silence will destroy you. But character? Character survives seasons. Character survives rejection. Character survives failure. Character survives obscurity. Most people invest in being seen. God wants you to invest in becoming solid. And here's the dangerous part. The world teaches you to polish the outside while ignoring the inside. But Jesus constantly reversed that thinking. Most people think success changes your heart. But the truth is, your heart determines whether success destroys you. Number 2, investing in money while neglecting your soul. Money is a tool. But many people treat it like a god. They sacrifice peace for it, relationships for it, health for it, integrity for it, and slowly, their entire worth becomes tied to numbers. Bank account, followers, views, status, possessions. But Ecclesiastes 5:10 says, "Whoever loves money never has enough." Never enough. That's the trap. The world convinces you satisfaction is one more achievement away, one more promotion, one more purchase, one more breakthrough. But the finish line keeps moving, and here's what changes everything. Your soul was not designed to feed on material things. That's why some of the richest people in the world are deeply anxious. Because money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy peace. It can buy distraction, but not purpose. And Jesus warned us clearly in Mark 8:36. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Think about that. Gain the whole world, everything people chase, everything people envy, and still lose the most important part of yourself. That's possible, and it happens every day. People become financially successful, while spiritually collapsing. Most people think burnout comes from working too hard. But sometimes burnout comes from building a life your soul was never meant to live. Number 3, investing in people who are draining your spirit. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. And the Bible repeats this warning constantly. Because environment shapes destiny. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Bad company corrupts good character." Not might corrupt, corrupts slowly. Quietly, over time. Here's how it usually happens. You start compromising little things. You lower standards to keep peace. You ignore red flags because you feel attached. You stay connected to people who constantly pull you away from clarity. And eventually, their chaos becomes your normal. Most people think relationships only affect emotions, but relationships affect direction. Some people drain your faith every time they speak. Some people normalize dysfunction. Some people constantly feed fear, gossip, comparison, confusion, or negativity. And because they are familiar, you stop recognizing the damage. But here's what most people never realize. Every relationship is an investment. You are investing attention, energy, time, emotional capacity. And if you invest deeply into toxic soil, don't be surprised when your peace stops growing. Jesus loved everyone, but he did not give everyone access. There's a difference. Discernment is not hatred. Discernment is protection. And some of you are exhausted, not because life is hard, but because you keep pouring into people who keep draining what God is trying to build inside you. Number 4, investing in constant distraction. This one is dangerous because it feels harmless. Scrolling, noise, entertainment, endless stimulation. And suddenly, you can no longer sit in silence. Your mind becomes restless. Your attention weakens. Your spiritual sensitivity fades. Most people are overstimulated, but undernourished spiritually. And the enemy loves distraction because distraction keeps you shallow. If he cannot destroy your purpose, he will dilute your focus. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. But modern life trains people to fear stillness, because stillness exposes what distraction hides. Pain, emptiness, confusion, unhealed wounds. So people stay busy. Not productive, busy, there's a difference. Some people are not running toward purpose. They are running away from themselves, and eventually the noise becomes addiction. The Bible never teaches constant stimulation. It teaches renewal, reflection, prayer, stillness, wisdom, because clarity grows in quiet places. And here's what changes everything. Whatever controls your attention controls your life. That's why protecting your focus is spiritual warfare. Number 5, investing in temporary pleasure instead of eternal purpose. This is the deepest warning of all, because temporary pleasure feels good immediately. Purpose usually feels difficult first. One gives instant gratification. The other builds lasting fulfillment. And most people choose what feels good now, without thinking about where it leads later. Hebrews 11:25 describes Moses refusing the fleeting pleasures of sin. Fleeting, temporary again. The Bible constantly reminds us, what feels good is not always good for you. But modern culture teaches the opposite. Follow your feelings. Do whatever makes you happy. You deserve it. But here's the truth most people discover too late. Pleasure without purpose eventually becomes emptiness. Because human beings were created for meaning. Not just stimulation, not just entertainment, not just consumption, meaning. That's why people can party every weekend and still feel hollow. Why people can have attention and still feel unseen. Why people can achieve goals and still feel lost. Because your spirit knows when it's starving. And no temporary pleasure can permanently feed an eternal soul. Matthew 6:19 was never just about money. It was about where your heart lives. Jesus continues in verse 21, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Your treasure reveals your direction. What consumes your thoughts? What controls your emotions? What are you sacrificing your peace for? What owns your attention? That is your treasure. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people claim God has their heart, while their real investment says otherwise. Because your real priorities are revealed by what consistently receives your energy. Not your intentions, your investments. Now let's go deeper, because this is where most people misunderstand the message. Jesus was not trying to take joy away from people. He was trying to protect them from building their lives on fragile foundations. Earthly things change constantly. Money changes. People change. Beauty changes. Platforms change. Culture changes, but eternal things remain. Faith, wisdom, character, love, purpose, truth. And the people who build their lives on eternal things become stable, even during chaos. That's why some people lose everything materially and still keep their peace, while others have everything externally and remain miserable internally. Because peace does not come from possession. It comes from alignment. Most people think the goal is to build an impressive life, but the real goal is to build a meaningful one. And those are not always the same thing. So ask yourself honestly, what have you been investing your soul into lately? Approval, money, distraction, temporary pleasure, toxic relationships, image, control? Because eventually, every false investment sends a bill. And many people don't realize the cost until they are emotionally bankrupt. But here's the good news. You can redirect your investment. Starting now, you can invest in prayer instead of panic, wisdom instead of image, peace instead of performance, purpose instead of distraction, character instead of validation. And no, that doesn't mean your life becomes perfect overnight. But it does mean your foundation becomes stronger, and storms reveal foundations. Anyone can look stable when life is easy. Real strength is revealed when pressure arrives. Jesus explained this perfectly in Matthew 7. One man built his house on sand, another built on rock. Both experienced storms. But only one survived. Why? Foundation. That's what this entire message is about. Not just what you're building, but what you're building it on. Because the wrong investments don't always destroy you immediately. Sometimes they slowly empty you over years, until one day you wake up successful on the outside and exhausted on the inside. So before this video ends, I want you to really think about this question. If your current investments continue for the next 5 years, who will you become? Not what will you own? Who will you become? Closer to God or farther away? More peaceful or more anxious? More grounded or more distracted? More alive or more spiritually numb? Because every day you are becoming someone, and your investments are shaping that person. Matthew 6:19 is not just a warning, it's an invitation. An invitation to stop wasting your life chasing things that cannot carry eternity. An invitation to build something deeper, something lasting, something no thief can steal and no season can destroy. So if this message spoke to you, if you've realized there are things in your life pulling your heart in the wrong direction, type the word treasure in the comments. Not for me, for yourself, as a reminder that from this moment forward, You are choosing to invest in what actually lasts. And remember this, the most dangerous thing in life is not failing. It's succeeding at things that never truly mattered.